Try to get the corner of that.
Oh, wow, that's smart, Joe. I know you guys used to say that. Yes, and I've been instructed, just comment. Yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah. You should be able to worship God, yes, not work, right? Right. I came up here and helped Haley last week. I think she was by herself or 2 weeks ago. It looks pretty much the same to me. Oh, okay. So my son, this is so funny because Tiffany doesn't know this. Right, it's the same buttons. Okay, but that's this. Okay, this is the whole. Humana.
I was just going to have you throw it on the screen while I did it about 30 seconds.
Good morning, church. Welcome to worship this morning. We're just so glad that you are here. Um, as a beginning welcome, we want to let you know that there's coffee over at Hebrews and lemonade and tea and some goodies. So you're welcome to just get up even while I'm talking and go over there and grab something to drink. If you need nursery for ages birth through age 3, if you go out the back door and turn right, that is where the nursery is. And then during our 11 o'clock service, we have children's church for preschool. Anything that you need more information on can be found in the back where it says TBC Happenings. So you're welcome to look back there for anything if you need more information. One thing that is back at Happenings is the Administrative Council minutes. Okay, so Admin Council is our governing board of the church, and there was a meeting recently, so if you're interested in looking at those minutes, they're back in the Happenings book. You can check them out. Also, one thing to let us know if you need prayer is there's this tear off right here of the bulletin. And so you're welcome to put any prayer requests that you have down and tear that off and put it in the offering plates as it goes around, or if you want it to be even more private, there are boxes right back underneath the clock, and there's another box right there by the exit sign that you can put your prayer request in. And we would be happy to pray for those things and let the church know what you need. Also, we are collecting money. Today is the last day for Bible stick donations, and there's information in your bulletin about that. We've raised over $950 so far for Bible sticks, so that's great. Thank you very much. If you've been wanting to give but you've forgotten, today is the last day to do that. Okay, and speaking of giving, it's box time again. That's what I was told. So we're going to tag team this. I'm going to hold the box, and he's going to hold the mic.
I was told I have to use a mic. The box, it's back. You know what this is for? It's for Nevada. It's the last Saturday in August. We're about 2 months away. It's time for the push. I'm going to put this in a very prominent place so you can see it every week. I'm thinking right up here, somewhere in this range, if that's okay. No, I'm just teasing. It, it has the QR code on it for all of you that like to go old school and use QR codes. Takes you right to the giving site for Nevada Benton Church. Could not be easier. It's not near as much fun as texting feed to that number and figuring that out. It's kind of fun to do. Both ways, we'll even take your check if you want to write a check for it. So that's just the announcement this morning. Manna's the last Saturday in August, and we need to meet our goal if we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross, for organizing that every year. All right, let's stand and greet one another, say hello, grab a coffee, and then we'll sing. Welcome.
I know, I was like, is Lucas up there? I don't know. Yeah, I forgot. Wow, you did a great job. Did you just set it on the what would that be, like 2? Well, you're rocking it. How are you doing? Like good? Yeah, I bet you're busy. Are you participating in all the wedding festivities of getting stuff together?
Yeah, I'm kind of all of it.
You're doing it.
Not all of it, but
Colors and flowers, photographer. Are you gonna have cake? Where's the like reception and all of those things? Are you doing all that?
yeah. Well, okay, maybe 50%.
50%.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Well, good luck.
That's all I got first.
Okay. See ya.
Please be seated. Good morning, everybody. My name is Justin, and I'm the pastor here. We welcome you to what I hope is one of the best parts of your week, gathering with a group of people that want to worship Christ and maybe learn a little more about what it means to live for Him. Each and every week, one of the things that we do is we take some time and we find out what the requests and concerns that we have as a church, and even some of the praises. And so, in just a moment, I'm going to ask you if you want to share something with everyone so that we can be praying for you. Is to raise your hand, and when the microphone comes to you, just share your name and what your request or what you're thankful to God for. If you take a look at the screen, you will notice that something pretty neat happened here this past week, and that is we now are handicap accessible with our outside door, and so I just quick wrote up there, our doors are now open for everyone. Except when I pushed the button this morning, it didn't work, and so we're still trying to figure it out. Okay, so ignore this picture, and maybe in a week or two, we will be able to look at this, and then maybe we'll just pause and we'll all run out there and push the button, because we know our kids are going to do that eventually at some point as well, right? But thank you for being the type of church that wants to let everyone be able to have access to a place where they can experience Jesus Christ. Thank you for that. Now, are there any requests or praises that you would want the church to know about?
I'm full of both.
Sure.
I've been told I'm full of it. um, he's agreeing. Okay, Ed had 8 surgical procedures over 2 days' time, and we finally got all of the margins clear on his face. Wasn't as simple as we thought. We thought they were just going to take it off and the next day do reconstruction. It's about 15 by 8 centimeters. But the problem is that it goes way deep. It involves nerves, glands, blood vessels. So God has been so good. We've been at peace. He's gone before us every day, arranged appointments for us, got us in the next day for a CAT scan, got us in the next day to one of the best head and neck surgeons at KU Med Center. And we like him a lot. We feel confident. We go Wednesday for the big surgery. It'll be at least 6 hours. He'll be in ICU for 48 hours. They'll check him every hour for the first 48 hours, and they'll let me be with him. We'll be in the hospital for at least a week to 10 days. So we have been incredibly blessed this week. And we felt your prayers, we've been at peace, and we just pray that you'll continue to pray for us. We serve a mighty God.
So Ed's experience is a basal cell carcinoma on the side of his face, and it just ended up way deeper than what anyone had initially anticipated. And so continue to keep Ed in your prayers. We also thank God for in the midst of something difficult, his hand is clearly, we see his hand moving and making sure that you get all the care that you need, and that's exciting. Anybody else? Well, then I'm going to open us in prayer. And then after that, there'll be this time of silence where you pray for Ed, pray for the things that are on your heart, thank God for things. And then after that silence, I will pray for an offering that's about to be taken. And then we will end with the Lord's Prayer, connecting with what our children are learning in the Sunday school class, and that'll be on the screen for us. Can we pray, please? Oh, God, thank you. Thank you so much for how, if we're looking for it, God, we can see how you are leading. We can see how you are moving. We can see how you are taking care of us. I thank you for the witness of Ed and Linda and what Ed has been going through lately. God, we thank you for how you have gone before him and them and are allowing everything to work out so that they can get the best care possible, God. We are thankful for the hospital staffs that have been able to step up and do those things, God. And we thank you for some clear next steps in all of this. Please, God, be the healer that Scripture tells us about, and allow him to experience full recovery from all this. We can trust you with that, God. We trust you with the week ahead and the weeks ahead. And I pray, God, that you will allow this body to be the presence of Christ for the Hepburns. Lord, we all have many things that we are going through, things that cause us to pause and wonder. We take this time of silence to be able to lift things up to you, knowing that you hear us all, you can bring good to every situation, and you love us. And so take these requests and take these praises, God, and work and use them for your glory and for your sake, that people experience Jesus Christ. Lord, hear our prayers. hearing us. And we say with confidence that we know you will go before us throughout this day and this week. And God, thank you for how you've blessed us. God, how you have so generously given to us. All that we have is yours. It's a gift from you. Now, as those of us who believe in the mission, the vision of the Benton Church, God, as we give back to you, would you please bless these people in their giving and help this church to use these resources to share Jesus with the world around us. And God, thank you also for teaching us even words that we can say in prayer. Please join me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Be seated. I am wondering if there's anybody who is under the age of, let's say, 20, who would be willing to come up front and do a brief regiment of exercise, maybe not with me, but in front of all of us. Do we have any young people that would be willing to come forward? Yeah, come on up, any and all of you. I would love your help. It just might be fun for anybody and everybody. So. Take your time. Okay, now for those of us that are wearing dresses, you decide to do what you want to do and what you don't want to do, right? Okay, so we are about to try to, in just a moment, I'm going to ask that each of you, as best as you are able to, and I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do it. But I want to see if you would high five every single person in this room. Okay? But before we do that, we're going to get ready, right? And so how would you warm up for something like trying to high five everyone in 30 seconds? What would you do? Get that arm ready. Hey, and all of you, you may want to get your arm ready too, because you're about to high five these guys, right? So, all right, so get your arms ready. Start moving them. Stretch them out if you want to, right? Now you are going to be running, so maybe can you stretch out? Can you touch your toes? Can anyone touch your toes? Do you know how to? Can you touch your toes? Can you reach down and touch your toes? Can't do it. Can't do it. All right, stay there for a while. So how you doing? Doing all right? Okay, stand up. All right, now I'm not a runner, right? But maybe what we can do is we can spread out our legs a little bit, all right, and then to reach one arm up and start stretching way over to the side like this. One arm up and stretch way over to the side. Try and get that side really ready. Oh my goodness. Okay, now let's put the other arm up and stretch way over to the other side. Try to make sure your shirt doesn't untuck. All right? Okay. Now, can you run in place for just 5 seconds or 10 seconds? All right, just get ready. Get ready. Run in place, right? Okay, you think you're ready? Think you're ready to do this? All right, who's going to time me? 30 seconds. Can somebody time this? All right, I probably have a stopwatch, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to trust Alex. Okay, so we are about to say on your mark, get set, go. Everyone get your hand up somehow, some way, so it can get easy for them. They might be running through the rows, so you need to be careful. No tripping children. That is the goal of adults today, is to not trip children, okay? If we can succeed in that, then I believe the Lord is with us. Okay, so you have 30 seconds is the goal to try and high five everybody in this room. You know what I mean by high five? Show me a high five. Okay, you show me a high five. All right, so you know what you're doing. On your mark, get set, go. Everybody, try and get everybody. Try and get everybody that you can. Encourage them, adults. Encourage them. You guys got this. You can do this. How much time do we have? 15 seconds left. Don't forget anybody. Don't forget anybody. Five seconds left, so we're now making this a 45-second challenge. Go, get everyone, get everyone, get everyone. Get everyone. All right, once you're done, get back up here. Once you're done, get back up here. Did you get everyone? Get everyone? Not everyone? Did anyone get the sound booth? Did anyone get the sound booth? Now, go get them. Go get them. I'm tired just watching you guys. Well done. Well done. Nice job. In a couple minutes, I'm going to start talking about this guy, Apostle Paul, whom you may have heard of. Oh, you're limping pretty bad, right? And one of the things that he does in Philippians is he shares with people that once you start something, it's important to just keep going and keep going until you completely finish it. That's why we didn't want to miss the sound booth, because we wanted to get everyone in the service here. And so please be listening on how Paul encourages everyone to just keep going until the end, even if you get tired. Can we give them a round of applause? Go have a seat, everyone. Go have a seat. God, as we begin to look at what your word says about just how sticking it out and working hard in order to accomplish the things that you are calling us for, would you please open our eyes? Would you help us to see the truth that you had Paul write down for us? And maybe begin to discover how we can experience real joy as we live the way that you are calling us to live. May the words that I share, the things that we all hear, be acceptable and pleasing to you, God. For you are our rock and our blessed Redeemer. Amen. So we continue this series called Living in Real Joy. And here's what we remember about Paul, right? Is he's this guy who is in prison, chained to a guard. And he's still experiencing a great amount of joy. How in the world can that happen? And so we've been talking about how even in his prayers, as he's thinking about what God is doing in the lives of other people, he experienced joy. That as we share the good news of Jesus with other people, even though other people are trying to get us in trouble while it happens, Paul says, when I tell somebody about Jesus, I experience this joy that God wants me to experience. Last week we talked about what it looked like to follow Jesus and the joy that we can have as we follow him. And today we're going to look at growing in joy. And the Apostle Paul, as he starts this, he says, not that I have already obtained all of this. So what's the all of this? In chapter 3. So right before the scripture that we are looking at today, Paul says that here's the all of this. He says that I want to know Christ. Right? I want to know the power of his resurrection, the fellowship of his suffering, so that I can become like Christ in his death. Maybe, he says, obtain the resurrection. Now, if you just think about these words and knowing Christ and the power and the fellowship, right? And experiencing the same things that Christ may have experienced in the death so that he could obtain the resurrection, it would almost make you think that we have to work in some way in order to get this resurrection. And that's not what Paul is talking about here. What Paul is talking about is followers of Jesus, we have now this life before us, and it's a life that is now lived for God. And what Paul is saying is I want to experience everything about Christ. And I want to so intimately experience these things that I become like Jesus, even to the point where I am willing to sacrifice myself for the world around me. That I could experience the same type of joy. If we could imagine, okay, just imagine that you were Jesus, all right? If we could imagine that you died, and the next thing you know, you're alive again, could you imagine the joy that you would experience in that? Knowing that God's power really is as true as what we have been hearing? The joy that would be. Paul says, I want to experience everything about Jesus. And then he says that this is for all of us. He's writing to this church in Philippi, and he says this is for all of us, that we would want to experience this. And Paul says, I haven't obtained this. I do not have this figured out. I haven't arrived at this goal. This man that we view as a great man of God, maybe one of the best, if we could imagine, best of the best type of people. Paul says, I haven't figured this out. He said, but I press on. Now, for the children that were running here, and for those of us who are runners, and I'm not one of you, but the image that Paul is trying to share here is of a runner who knows that the goal line is right here, and so they are running in such a way that their body is beginning to lean forward, and they're reaching out as hard as they can to make sure that they pass the finish line before anyone else. I've seen a bunch of track this spring because one of my kids is involved in track, and the kids are running, and then all of a sudden they start leaning forward, almost like they're going to fall, to try and make sure that they pass the finish line as quickly as they possibly can. And that's what Paul is inviting everyone to do. That we haven't obtained this full understanding of who Jesus is and what it's all about, and to experience our life completely with him, even to the point of death and the joy of the resurrection. I don't have that in my life, but I will press on so that I can take hold. And this is reaching out for the prize. I can take hold. I can make sure that I actually get the prize for which Jesus took a hold of me. I reach now for Christ because Christ reached for me. Paul says this is the type of joy that this is where we can begin to experience the joy that God has for us. Brothers and sisters, I don't consider myself to have taken hold of it yet. And so Paul is saying, but there's this one thing, even though it sort of mentions it in a couple ways, Paul says, this is it. This is the one thing that I do. And then he says, forgetting what is behind and straining for what is forward. I press on. I believe that there is this very debilitating illness that is in this world around us. And you may have heard of this before, but you may not have heard it with this phrase. And the phrase is that it's called the Eustas. Do you know what a Eustas is? A Eustas is where you sit and you look at your life and you say, I want to live for Jesus, right? And I used to spend some time trying to look in God's Word, and it got too hard, and I just didn't understand it. So I stopped. I don't know why I stopped, but I just sort of stopped. I used to get up early because that's what I heard people did that live for Jesus, right? They get up early and they spend some time in doing devotions, and I did well for a couple days, but then all of a sudden I got so tired that I didn't get up anymore. So I stopped. I used to go to church every week, right? Because that's what Christians, I guess, do in our culture. But then sometimes the things that were done there or said there, I didn't always jive with me, and so now I just show up occasionally. I used to even listen to the preacher when he was speaking. But have you heard the new guy? It's kind of hard to listen to. And so now I just only do it sometimes. I don't know if you know this about me, but I used to struggle with some sins that I'm very embarrassed about. And I know that we say the words that God forgives me, but I have a hard time believing it. And I don't think I can really fully live for Jesus because I used to sin like this. For some of us, we might say, and I still struggle with it. And I don't want anyone to know, but I still struggle. So how in the world can I press on? How in the world can I reach for the goal when I'm still struggling with the sin that Jesus has forgiven in my life? Here's what Paul says. This is the good news. This is what brings the joy. As Paul says, I forget what is behind me. Do you know that if you've given your life to Jesus, every single sin you have committed has been forgiven? Jesus lets go of those things. He does not hold that against us anymore. And Paul says, so I forget about these things. This guy who punished Christians, right? Who killed Christians, many people believe. He is saying, I gotta forget my past. I gotta forget the struggles. I've gotta forget the failures in my life. And so I need to let go of that. I forget what's behind me, and I strain towards what is ahead. I will reach out, I will lean forward, and I will look forward to what God has for me. I press on. This is diligently focusing on the prize. Let go of the past. Let go of the present. Paul says, look to the future. Look to the prize. You know what the prize is? It's knowing Christ and everything about his death and his resurrection. We can experience that in our lives. We can experience that full joy in our lives because that's what God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. This is what God wants us to do. Paul says, persevere. You want to experience real joy? Persevere in knowing and living Christ. Don't let the past hold you back. Today, start straining forward. Diligently focus on knowing and living Christ in this world. And then Paul continues on to say that this is kind of a process, and some of this is going to take some time, right? And that we may need to be patient. He says, all of us who are mature, now the word mature means all of us who now have given our lives to Jesus Christ. So if you've committed yourself to Christ, this is now talking to you. All of us who are mature should take such a view of these things. This is now the way that we should live. We live this life of straining towards what Christ wants us to do, not anything else. He says, and if there are some points where you think differently, where you think that it's not just about only living for Jesus, Paul says, well, then I am hoping that those things too God will make clear to you. That our lives is solely about straining towards living all that we can, all that we have for Jesus Christ. May God make that clear to us. If you think there's more to it, Paul says, I hope God opens your eyes and you can realize that no, there is one thing in life, and it is living for Christ the way that Christ wants us to live. And then he says, only let us live up to what we've already obtained. Well, what have we already attained? We've attained Christ. We believe in him, and so now we are his, and he is ours. The former president, Jimmy Carter, one time, in one of the things that I've read about him, he shares about how he wanted to get involved in the naval nuclear submarine program. And in order to do that, he had to meet with the director of the program, and his name was Admiral Hyman Rickower. And Admiral Rickower was known, he was notorious for asking incredibly difficult questions in the midst of the interview. But Carter really wanted to be a part of this program. And so he meets with the guy, and the admiral's asking him questions, and of course, just exactly the way he heard it, the questions got more difficult and more difficult. And President Carter said that it got to the point where I couldn't even answer some of the questions, and I was starting to feel helpless. And then all of a sudden, the admiral looks at me and says, so how well did you do at the Naval Academy? And Carter writes, I was looking forward to answering this question because I felt I did pretty well. And he said, well, I did 53rd out of 820. Carter said he was expecting some sort of congratulations from the admiral on how well he did, but it didn't come. Instead, there was this slight pause, and the admiral looked at Jimmy Carter and he said, but did you do your best? Carter sat there in silence, thinking of the question that was just asked to him. And after a few moments, he knew how he had to answer. He said, no, there were some times where I didn't do my best. And the admiral swiveled away in his chair, no longer looking at Jimmy Carter. And it was just quiet in the room. And then finally the admiral said, without even looking at Carter, he said, why not? Why not? That's the troubling question, isn't it? Paul is telling us that we are supposed to live up to what we have already attained. And here's what I think the reality, myself included, of the Christian life in the United States is we do it most of the time out of convenience, sometimes because we feel like God is calling us to something, and much of our lives is lived the way that we want to. And I throw myself in that category. I'm not trying to beat up on you without myself being a part of this. But I can't help but think about the question, why not? Why are you choosing to just settle for less than what I have given you? Will you choose to live up to what we have already attained? Do you know that there is a place for you in heaven right now? Paul does. And he's saying, so now we live like we are members in heaven, here on earth. We strain towards living the way Jesus calls us to, the way we will be in heaven. We strain towards living that way on earth. And Paul says, I know this might be hard to grasp, so join together, Paul says, in following my example, right? Brothers and sisters, just as you have a model, keep your eyes on those who live as we do. And so he's saying, I understand sometimes that Jesus isn't here, and when you need someone to look at, you need someone who is living the way that we believe God wants you to live. So Paul says, go ahead, look at me. Now remember, this guy says, I haven't obtained it. I haven't figured it all out. But one thing I will tell you, I'm straining. I'm reaching out towards what Christ wants for me. And so look at me. Use me as an example. Find somebody else who is a great example. Can I let you know, there are people in this room that I see as an example of living for Jesus. And I peek at you as I try to figure out what it means to live for Jesus. Paul says that's okay. That's what we need to do. But there are some people that are living for Jesus, and there's some people that aren't. This is one of the rare times, I think it might be the only time where Paul talks about that he's crying about something. And he says, for as often as I've told you before, I now tell you again, even with tears, that many really live as enemies of the cross of Christ. See, we know this Jesus stuff, but we make it all about ourselves. It says their destiny is destruction. They're really not heading towards anything, right? Their God is their stomach. It's all about what I want. And their glory is in their shame. They've made it all about themselves. And really what it is their minds are set on earthly things. So who are you going to follow? Who are you going to look to? As we are called to strain and live towards Jesus, the encouragement that I see in here is, as Paul is saying, just patiently remain focused on the end line. And as you see other people running towards the same goal as you, look at their lives as an example and just keep plugging along. Living for Jesus. We may stumble sometimes, yeah, but keep plugging along and see the example of others and live for Jesus. Because that's what's going to bring real joy, is living for Jesus. And then Paul goes on to say that the real joy actually comes in this perspective, the perspective that we are citizens of heaven. He says, but our citizenship is in heaven. Now, he is talking to Roman people here. Roman people knew about citizenship. It was a huge deal to them. They had great value in being known as citizens of Rome. And so when Paul starts to share this, he knew that they would get this, that their citizenship with Rome was a big deal to them. And Paul's saying, no, our citizenship is in heaven. It is all about the fact that that is where we reside. That is where we live. We find ourselves on earth right now, yes, but this is where our citizenship is. And this then is how we live. This then is how we behave as we eagerly wait for the Savior from there, the Lord Jesus Christ. And it says, who by the power enables him to bring everything under his control. Jesus has the power to take everything and put it under his feet, he said. That's the same power that he will use as we are straining, as we are pressing on, as we are growing in Christ, to transform our lowly bodies, these bodies that struggle, these bodies that fail, these bodies that realize the Eustas in our life. It says, no, we can run. We can make it. We can live the way that God is calling us to live. Just keep moving. Why? Because heaven is yours because you've given your life to Christ. Our bodies will be transformed and to a glorious body someday. Now, I have encouraged each and every one of you to get a card as you came in. And I don't know if you got one or not. If you didn't, please grab one on your way out. But one of the things that I was thinking about as I was preparing for this message was, I wonder what it would look like if we just reminded ourselves that our citizenship is actually in heaven. What would it look like if we actually had an identification card? And I'm not saying that we have to carry these around everywhere, but if we had an identification card that every time we looked at it, it reminded us that we are citizens of heaven. And what would it look like if we filled it out? So I filled mine out. And here's what it says, just so you know, and my hope is that you will fill yours out as well. So it says name, my name's Justin, right? And then date of birth, April 3rd, 1969. So I write that down on there. And then date born again. And I'll be honest, I struggled a little bit with this because I know that it was a Wednesday in June 1990 when I surrendered myself to Christ. Many decisions happened before that, including a time where I prayed a prayer when I was a child. But I know that at 21, I gave myself to Jesus, right? So I write that date down because I know that I gave myself to Him. Don't remember the exact date of it. And then spiritual gifts. What are the gifts that God has gifted you with? Now, I wrote down mine, and you may even think, well, I don't know if that's you, Justin, but that's all right. This is what I see in regards to me, is that I believe that God's given me this gift of wisdom, where somehow, some way, He helps me to understand His Word, and be able to share that with other people. I believe that's a gift that God has given me, so I try to use it, right? Leadership, administration, and teaching. And so those are the things that I wrote down as gifts that God, I think, gave to me even before I surrendered myself to Him. But now that they are gifts that He is using in some, I'm hoping, some sort of special way for the sake of His kingdom. And then mission. What's the mission that God's called you to? Now, I think we're all called to this mission to make disciples of Christ, right? But I think God specifically called me to be somebody who teaches and coaches people as they live for Christ. That's what I think God's called me to do. And so this is my citizenship card. This is what I am called to do. And I wonder what you're called to do. I hope that you will fill this out. Maybe share it with somebody else this week. For those of us who are gutsy, maybe we take a picture, we throw it on Facebook or something, and say, I'm a child of Christ. This is how He's made me, and I'm living for Him. Imagine if this becomes our goal, that we strain completely towards what Christ has for us, instead of just settling for less. I read about this mom, Mary Williams, and she had picked up a bunch of her kids from school, and they're on their way home. And she has this huge SUV, right? All 6 kids are in it, and bags and jackets and snacks and stuff just filled the SUV. For those of us who have had a bunch of kids, you understand that happens, right? It just fills right up. And in it, as the story was read, it said that the 3 big kids were bouncing, all 3 in the back row of the vehicle. And Sophia 10, she had new braces on, and she's trying to keep mom's attention, and she's trying to let mom know about one of her girlfriends who's crazily obsessed by boys all of a sudden, and it just seems like the weirdest thing to her, right? The next 2 biggest kids, Anthony 7 and Alina 5, they somehow got a hold of mom's phone, and now they're in the back, and they're both looking at something that's on the phone. In the middle row are the 3 smallest kids. And Maya, too, she has this red slushy drink that she's drinking, right? And Luke 1, he's holding on to this bag of fresh crickets because they have a gecko at home, and that's what they're going to use to feed the crickets. And then there's Gabby. Now, Gabby's the smallest of the family. She's only 12 pounds. But she's 9 years old. And the story went on to say that she has these skinny legs and this ponytail, and both of them are just splayed out beyond the car seat. And while the siblings giggle and squeal, it says Gabby's pale blue eyes roll up towards the ceiling. By a calendar, she's almost a teenager, and she has buttery skin, tightly clenched fingers, and a hazy awareness of a newborn. Gabby has a genetic abnormality that prevents her from growing. And she'll be in a perpetual newborn status her whole life, regardless of how old she is. Now, her parents love her and receive joy from her. But it's not what they had planned. I hope, my prayer, is that we will not allow our lives for Christ to be stunted and just settle for living and receiving from Christ where we are, and that's it. don't want myself to be somebody who gave his life to Christ at 21, and now that I'm almost 50, I don't want to live for Jesus like a 21-year-old. I don't think that's what God's called us to do. And I want to experience the real joy of Christ. And my hope is that we, citizens of heaven, will say yes and strain and press on towards what Christ has for us. May we grow in him. Amen? God, thank you. Thank you so much for reminding us that yes, there is grace, that we are called to live this life for you and not settle for less than our best. God, I do that, and I've done that many times in my life, even today. But I forget what's behind me, God. And right now, in this moment, I look forward, God, and I choose to press on towards you. May that be the prayer of all of us. In the name of Jesus. Amen.
We're going to close today with more about Jesus. Please stand and join me. More about Jesus would I know, more of his grace to others show, more of his saving boldness sing, more of his love who died for me. More about Jesus, more about Jesus, more of his saving boldness sing, more of his love who died for me. More about Jesus, let me learn, more of his holy will discern. Spirit of God, my teacher be, showing the things of Christ to me. More about Jesus, more about Jesus, more of his saving boldness sing, more of his love who died for me. More about Jesus in his word, holding communion with the Lord, hearing his voice in every line, making each faithful saying mine. More about Jesus, more about Jesus, more of his saving boldness sing, more of his love who died for me. More about Jesus on his throne, riches and glory all his own. More of his kingdom sure increase, more of his coming Prince of Peace. More about Jesus, more about Jesus, more of his saving boldness sing, more of his love who died for me.
Thank you so much for being a part of worship today. May it bless us as we go. May we who have given ourselves to Christ realize that we are citizens of heaven on this earth. And that we are called to live heaven in this earth. And we press on towards that. And may people see Jesus in us. Don't give up, people, and go in peace. Amen.
Next week, the service is at 10. It's Memorial Day, so next week, come at 10 if you're you're a 9 o'clock service person, it's at 10. Thanks.